Earlier this month, I showed off Absolute Swamp Thing by Lin Wein and Bernie Wrightson. But today, I want to show off Alan Moore's addition to the character with great artists like Rick Veitch, Stephen Bissette, John Totleben, and how they truly innovated the character Swamp Thing into the monster that we know and love today. Stay tuned and watch this video until the end. And we're back. So I'm Taylor of Taylor Talks Comics. This is another day of my 31 days of horror comics in October. Please subscribe because you don't want to miss out on any of those videos. And go to my playlist tab on my channel. I have all the videos in one nice handy dandy playlist showing off the previous days in the month of October in 2024. And also give the video a thumbs up and comment down below. Those things kind of help the YouTube algorithm know that YouTube needs to put my videos and my channel in front of the eyeballs of people that don't know my channel exists. So today we're talking Absolute Swamp Thing Volume 1 from Alan Moore with Stephen Bissette, John Totleben, Rick Veitch, Sean McManus, and Dan Day on artwork. This was put out by DC Comics. And we're going to talk about the recoloring and all the controversy involved there too. But I want to show off this beautiful package and book design that they have going on here. So there's the cover there. Here's the spine. It looks great on the shelf, and it actually does with volumes 2 and 3, which I'll have videos on later this month. I'll show you how that kind of connects a little bit with the background artwork there. But great title lettering, Alan Moore Volume 1. Here's the back cover. This is a very iconic piece of Swamp Thing. The top's just black, and the bottom's got the UPC. Now you slide the book out here, because it is a nice slipcase. This is the premium collected edition from DC, where they do their absolutes in these nice slipcases. And just like the Lin Wein, Bernie Wrightson Swamp Thing book that I showed off, it has this mossy finish to the hardcover here, which is really, really great and reminiscent of the Swamp Thing character. You see Swamp Thing, great lettering right there. On the spine, just like the Lin Wein and Bernie Wrightson book, you have a gold finish here. So they really all four look great together. That absolute by Wein and Wrightson, and then the 3 Alan Moore absolutes. The back, it's just plain green, but then you have this little flower design here. DC Black Label is the line that this is put out on. Previously released as Vertigo, even though Vertigo did not exist when this series came out, but I digress. You do get a cool ribbon in the back. Or not in the back, sorry. You get a cool ribbon bookmark throughout here, which is really cool. Here's the end papers. Have a really great look to them. Same end papers in the back. We open it up and we start to see some really great artwork. Here's the title image on this one with all the credits down below. Now you're going to note, here's an important note here. Original series coloring was by Tatiana Wood. This collection, though, is colored by Steve Oliff and Ollie Optics. The whole thing has been recolored. It's a very controversial point for people that they didn't enjoy the recoloring. Sorry, I'm trying to get my lighting to not glare on the page there. And my thoughts on that, as far as the coloring goes, you get a great table of contents here of each issue, I should say, too. And then we're diving right into it. Before I get to the coloring, I love this cover here. This is the first cover that for the first issue that Alan Moore worked on. Pencils by Dan Day. But this cover is by Yeats on here. And Tom Yeats, I think his name is. But it reminiscent of like pre-code horror of like someone catching on fire with these almost like spaceship things shooting out here. Like, I love that cover. And then great title image letter or pieces right here around this Swamp Thing character. So the coloring, I don't love it. I much prefer the Tatiana Wood coloring, but because the Tatiana Wood coloring, I wish I had. I don't have any copies of that in my collection, unfortunately. Or I'll show you some comparisons. Because Tatiana Wood's coloring had more of a kind of a psychedelic look to it, more comic booky, like almost CMKY style flat coloring. Again, looking like pre-code horror in these images. And Steve Oliff and Ollie Optics went for more of a modernization, realistic look to it. So there's more of earthy tones, more natural skies, natural watercolors, as opposed to like that psychedelic look. I don't love it, but also Steve Oliff is a very accomplished colorist, so it's not like it's bad. It's not like it's poor coloring, it's just different. So that's the first issue where Alan Moore kind of ties up loose ends from the last issues of Swamp Thing, which you can get if you get the Swamp Thing Bronze Age Swamp Thing Omnibus, that has every issue of Swamp Thing before this run, leading up to it. It has all the Lin Wein, Bernie Wrightson stuff, but then the stuff after they left as well. And then it leads up to this. Now, Anatomy Lesson is one of the greatest issues of comics, period, where Alan Moore really deconstructs Swamp Thing in a literal way and then builds him back up. So this is where Alan Moore is kind of like, yeah, I'll do Swamp Thing, but I want to do my own character and really break it down and turn him into a completely different entity. One of the big twists at the end, which if you don't want to know the spoilers, skip ahead 20 seconds or so. But one of the big twists at the end of this issue is that Swamp Thing is not Alec Holland. He's not an actual human. He's just an entity living from the swampy area that became about from the accident in the first issue of House of Secrets 92. So now we're getting into the next issue, and this is where the story just really takes on, and Alan Moore does this incredible epic story of Swamp Thing, which it has to be read by everybody. It's one of the great horror comics, especially of the big two comics. It's like, maybe the greatest horror comic written from the big two, written and drawn. It's not just Alan Moore, it's the great artwork by Stephen Bissette and John Totleben, and then Rick Veitch later on, that really builds a piece in here that just absolutely amazing stuff, where Swamp Thing goes on this trajectory of trying to solve mysteries, trying to fight monsters within this town of New Orleans. He's kind of in that New Orleans, Baton Rouge area, Louisiana area. Again, you still get that trippy designs by Steve Bissette until eventually he meets John Constantine, and then that goes to where the whole story is blown up into this epic proportions of this epic journey. And each issue lives on its own piece. That's the great thing about it, too. This was written in a time when each issue had to be its own unit, where you couldn't guarantee that you're going to get every single issue. So every issue could be someone's first issue. I guess it was what Jim Shooter and Stan Lee used to say. I love the title lettering here, too. This is by Steve Bissette and John Totleben. Now, it's the artwork that was so innovative in this, too. It's like Alan Moore, I often say this, too. Alan Moore's, every artist he worked with, I think their best artwork of their career was when they worked with Alan Moore. And I think it's because him as a writer had this way about him of getting the best out of his artists. And giving them freedom. Because like Steve Bissette often said that he hated a panel grid. He hated like the 9-panel grid, 6-panel grid. He wanted to kind of open up the whole space and make the whole page be his own thing, own piece. And you can see a lot of that innovation in some of the panel layouts here. And just letting the artwork breathe in some of these aspects too, not bogging it down with extra dialogue or exposition. Alan Moore really worked with these artists in a massive way to get the most out of them. And just all the lettering, like the whole package of each issue is just brilliant. I can't express that enough. You have to read this. It holds up today too. This is a comic book that was coming out in the 80s. I love playing with the title lettering here, where it's very almost Eisnerian, like a Will Eisner kind of piece. But it holds up today. Like reading this now, it's still like is an amazing piece. I just want to note too that Steve Bissette, I guess, hates superheroes and hated drawing them. So a lot of times when he was forced to have to draw superheroes within these stories, he'd have Rick Veitch come over and draw them. And Rick Veitch, I think, was uncredited on some of these as helping him out, which they kind of had like that, what is it, the Flegel brothers or Flying Flegel brothers? I forget what they're called. Like Roy Krinkle, Al Williamson, and Frank Frazetta, where they'd all kind of just jump in and help each other with their issues and might have to go uncredited, but that's fine because, you know, Steve Bissette will help out Rick Veitch on another issue here or there, whatever it was. Like, they're just friends and just helping draw comics with each other. Just had fun doing that. And Totleben and Veitch and Bissette all came from the same graduating class of the Kubert School, the Joe Kubert Art School. Maybe they didn't graduate together. I think Totleben might have been a different year, but I know they're all part of those early years of the Kubert School, along with like Tim Truman was in there too. But I can't express enough how brilliant this entire comic book is, and how it needs to be read by everybody that loves horror comics and wants to explore some of the offerings from the big two. Here's a piece where you can really see the modern coloring. Like, affecting this. I wish I had a copy of what this piece looked like with Tatiana Wood's coloring, but the great panel layouts, and the artwork still looks great, but it just looks modern because of the coloring. Why they did that, I don't know. I do think it would be genius if DC was to release omnibus of this run, because they've not done that yet. We have no omnibus of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, but if they were to release the omnibus in the original colors, because I think everyone that bought these absolutes would then go buy that omnibus. Everyone that avoided these absolutes because of the coloring would go buy that omnibus. I think that'd be kind of genius, but I'm afraid that they'll probably just do an omnibus eventually with these colors, these modern colors, but I don't know. Maybe one day I'll try to collect the single issues of this series. There aren't, I don't think these go for too crazy prices, except for like the key issues, like the John Constantine debut issue, I'm sure goes for crazy prices. We get a Jack Kirby's creation, The Demon, involved in here, which is amazing. Rick Veitch and Steve Bissette both. I don't know if Steve Bissette actually is the biggest Kirby fan. I guess he didn't really like superheroes. Maybe he likes Kirby's other comics that aren't superheroes. But I know Rick Veitch is a huge Kirby fan because Rick Veitch named his son Kirby, actually. And you can see a lot of Kirby influence in his artwork and stories. I'm trying to see if Veitch is... Oh yeah, Veitch is credited on here. So Bissette, Veitch, and Totleben. So I wonder if Veitch drew some of these demon drawings and was excited about that because he loves Kirby so much. Great, like, 2-page spreads too. That's a very Jack Kirby like thing, right? Where you get the opening splash page, which it's not really a splash page, but then you bust it open into the 2-page spread. And I love the ephemera here too of these like juvenilia drawings of the monster in the story. Just such great artwork, such great panel layouts. And it's truly one of the rare occurrences in comics where the writer and artist all work together in such a cohesive unit. But I can't recommend it enough. Really, really brilliant stuff. Volume 2 is where I feel like it really gets going. Here's a appearance by the Phantom Stranger, who's really great, and the Spectre. I can't recommend it enough. Volume 2 is where it really gets cooking, though. That's where John Constantine debuts, and you go on to this more epic global scale of where he's going. There's a V for Vendetta homage, maybe? I don't know. Maybe it's a coincidence. Oh, here's the Pogo story. So Alan Moore is a big Pogo fan from Walt Kelly. So it's just called Pogue because, you know, you can't name it Pogo for copyright reasons. But you get some of this cartoony artwork, and this is guest artist Sean McManus on this one. And he does a great job of drawing these cartoony characters, and they blend so well with Swamp Thing. But let's get to the back matter here. Well, I guess I should have told you what issues this collects, right? Oh, this is a famous issue too. I should probably pause on. So this collects issues Swamp Thing number 2020 all the way through Swamp Thing 34. So you get the first 14 issues of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. He did start with issue number 20. And you can start right here too. I should have noted that as well. This is a great place to start with Swamp Thing because, like I said, Alan Moore deconstructs the character and reconstructs it in that second issue. If this is your first Swamp Thing you've ever read, I would recommend giving the first 2 issues a try. That first issue might be a little confusing because you're trying to figure out what's going on. The second issue is where it really starts going. So read those first full 2 issues before you give up on it. But here's a poster gallery. There's a great painted piece on that cover. And then the Rite of Spring. Is this? Oh, this is issue 34. Okay. So this is the Rite of Spring. So this is a famous issue where Alec Holland and his girlfriend here is trying to consummate their love together. And they do it in this very vegetative state. I don't know how else to describe it. But it takes her on this journey of like this incredible acid trip almost, where it's this huge experience of her life where she will never experience anything like this again. And this is Steve Bissette really innovating the way these panels are laid out, because you read it going this way, which is really cool. And then you read this way, so you kind of turn the book sideways a little bit. And since you're turning, it's like you're disorienting the comic book. You're disorientating and orienting the way though you're reading it, because she herself is being disoriented in the acid trip that she's going on of this, I don't know, orgasmic trip that she's taking on. And it's just like this experience that she's never experienced in her life, and now she's totally in love with Swamp Thing. The back matter here, we get a great essay written by Steve Bissette about the making of these characters with some sketches and things of them working out character designs. This is, what is this? Opposite page, Swamp Thing featuring Tom Yates' nod to Steve Bissette beneath the dinosaur's tail. Okay. And here's some original art pieces in here with some more of the essays and biographical nature of writing this by Steve Bissette and everything in here. I love these pieces here where they're showing more original art. You can see some like pencil sketches, but then some inked pieces here. I would like to read this in black and white too. I think Titan Comics released a lot of these issues in black and white. I'd love to see those in black and white. Here's some of the original coloring in here. Because Steve Bissette and John Totleben took over art duties before Alan Moore came on board too. I should have noted that. So they do some of the issues before this. And then you get some more art pieces here and Steve Bissette. So it's really a lengthy piece of Steve Bissette writing about this, which is great. Steve Bissette does a lot of writing these days about horror movies and things, which is amazing. I love his writing, just his historical biographical writing pieces too. So I want to read some of those books that he wrote about. I think there's like one he did on a Cronenberg movie, The Brood. I'd love to read. I need to read that book as well. Here's some pencil pieces by Steve Bissette. And then some biographical pieces. So really great collection and a great way to start off these absolutes, Alan Moore absolute Swamp Things. I do wish they had the original colorings, but they don't. But I don't think that should prevent you from reading these if you've not read these at all. If you've not read these and you heard people say like, oh, the coloring sucks. Like, the coloring's still good. And actually, if you've never read these before, you might not even notice the difference in them because you don't have a nostalgic piece for the originals. But that's it. Again, I'm Taylor of Taylor Talks Comics. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm on my path to 3,000 subscribers, and I need your help trying to get there by the end of the year. 31 days of horror comics throughout the month as well. And you want to subscribe, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss out on any of those. Maybe there's some horror comics you've never heard of that I've covered that might open your eyes to some. I'd love to hear those in the comments as well. Thank you guys. Have a great day and keep talking comics.